Guys, I have a question for you. What do Herobrine, Nigerian princes, and this man have in common? They're all fake. They're phonies. Shams. I think these three examples are perfect demonstrations of the sheer power of the internet hoax. Herobrine, he's one of the most well-known characters in the highest-selling video game of all time, despite the fact that he has never actually been in the game. Nigerian princes are some of the most successful scammers of all time, in spite of the fact that they haven't existed since 1963, apparently. And this man is apparently one of the most dreamed-about faces in the world, at least that's what this Italian sociologist wanted you to think. Whether it's a video game, a scam, or just a social experiment, internet hoaxes are undefeated when it comes to getting people's attention. You're getting a sip of that internet clout juice, as I like to say. Well, me and the boys are dropping an album this Friday, and we're thirsty. So I invite you to join me as I try to create my own internet hoax and convince everyone that this time, once and for all, the world is actually ending. So, as we all know, spooky season just unfortunately came to an end. But one of my favorite spooky movies, which I actually haven't had a chance to watch this year, is Blair Witch Project. As many of you know, it's a found footage horror movie from 1999 that went on to become one of the most successful and profitable independent films of all time. And ironically, what made the movie so successful wasn't actually the movie itself. No, what made it so successful, I think, was everything except the movie, the marketing. Spoiler alert for this movie that came out over 20 years ago. The main characters in this movie do unfortunately pass away at the end, or at least that's what we're led to believe. And with this being a found footage style mockumentary, the filmmakers kind of decided to lean into that with the marketing and make people think that this was real found footage where people actually died. You know, they've got this mysterious title card at the beginning of the movie. They've got missing persons flyers that they handed out to people. And those are their real names on there, by the way. Those are the real names of the actors who played these characters. They even went so far as to change their IMDb pages to show that these actors were missing, presumed dead. And then they also had an entire website called blairwitch.com that spelled out all of this lore about the found footage, the documentary, and basically just the urban legend itself. This little ruse of theirs, this hoax, was so convincing that it actually led to some pretty bizarre backlash when people finally realized that it was fake. So, maybe I won't go quite that hard on this, but I love the idea of using traditional print marketing and just word of mouth to promote something. You know, it creates this lore and this depth through storytelling. And it's got this whole like mysterious DIY aesthetic to it that makes you feel like you kind of just stumbled upon like this secret forbidden knowledge, like this little trail of breadcrumbs on the internet. And of course, it's cheaper than paying for Facebook ads or something boring like that. So for context, I just got back from a trip to beautiful Branson, Missouri, deep in the Bible Belt of the United States of America. And along the way, I saw plenty of billboards. I saw my fair share of billboards across the remarkable American interstate system. And many of those billboards are religious in nature, and they're they're not shy about it. They'll say some shit like, Jesus died for you. Hell is real. You're a bad person, and Jesus wasn't. So very straight and to the point, very in your face, and I love it. I love their focus on like very literal, like gaudy graphic design, big text, like it's very good for getting people's attention is what I'm trying to say. So that was kind of the direction I wanted to go in with the print marketing side of this, is to see if I could do some billboards. But billboards are a little expensive from what I understand. I'm not about to do that, so we're just gonna fake it. We're just gonna Photoshop some billboard designs, basically. This is an internet hoax, after all. Next is the website. So when building out the website, I wanted to be straight and to the point, you know, true to the aesthetic of evangelist billboards. And so the idea for the website is going to have a little bit of text, a countdown timer that leads to the release date. But I also wanted to kind of one up the Blair Witch website in the sense that I want to give people the opportunity to come back, even if they forget about it, you know, because if somebody comes to the website and they're like, oh, cool, 10 days left. I don't want to rely on people to have to remember to come back to it. So I added a little form for people to put in their email address. And then when that countdown timer reaches 0, I think we're going to create like a YouTube visual for the entire album that we can send to people as soon as it's released. Okay, so we've got our plan, we've got our campaign basically planned out. Now it's about the execution. So first we've got the billboard designs. In order to get those done, I actually reached out to this artist I discovered on Instagram named Absent Minded. He had done some work before that was very imagery focused with big, bold text, and it had this like retro aesthetic to it. So I thought that would be a great fit. I thought he could do a great job with it, and he did. So shout out to him. He got us 3 different billboard designs that fit with the vibe that we were going for. And so now it was just a matter of putting those on billboards. So while I was on my trip to beautiful Branson, Missouri, I just took a bunch of pictures of random billboards that looked like they would fit the vibe. And then I went into Photoshop with all 20 to 30 of them, something like that, and painstakingly Photoshopped one of the 3 designs on all of those different billboard pictures so that we had a good pool of options to pull from. We want it to look widespread. We want it to look like, oh, these billboards are popping up all over the place. What's going on? Billboard's scary. So I think I did a fairly good job. It's really just a matter of matching the colors and adding some noise and some blur, baby. That's the magic sauce there. So we got the billboard designs, they're photoshopped. Now we need the website that the billboards are driving traffic to. So I decided to build out this website using a web app called Webflow. It gives me the power that I need to make some pretty custom websites without the hassle of actually hand coding everything. So shout out to Webflow. I'm not getting paid to say this, but I would love to. Webflow, hit me up. So you can see I kind of tried to find this balance between building a modern website that works on all these different devices, but also fits that, you know, like Y2K, like shitty web design aesthetic, I guess. So we got the billboards, we've got the website. Now it's just a matter of what happens when the countdown timer hits 0. Like, what are we sending to these email addresses that we're capturing? So the idea with this is to create this visual for the whole album, music video / visualizer, I guess. Post it on YouTube and stylize it to look like this like cult, like initiation video, I guess. And to do that, I actually commissioned some work from my boy John, who is a visual artist. So let's catch up with him and see what that's looking like. Yo, this is nuts.
So I'm gonna show you like a basic rundown of the timeline, right? So it started off running like she's being chased or something like that, you know, got the eyes, you know, the POV version.
Yeah.
Okay, you got the sign right here. After this part, I kind of wanted to cut to like some of the media you gave me, but I kind of wanted to have like that retro vibe, you know. I don't know, that's just the vibe that I got from like the images and shit you sent.
No, that's perfect. Honestly, I feel like the shittier it looks, the better. Because, like, I definitely want this to feel like it's, like, some weird, like, DIY, like, cult shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some shit you dig up on the dark web or something.
Okay, for sure. So that's, like, I kind of wanted to have, like, that type of vibe, you know? Like, daytime, boom, it goes to nighttime, boom, creepy cabin, boom. She's walking into the cabin, right? And it ends right there. After that, we would just have it like glitch out and then like start from the beginning. Like
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We're aiming to release all of this at midnight on Friday morning when the tape comes out. Do you think that that's like doable?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, bro, I'm deadass gonna finish this tonight.
Oh, sick. That website that I sent you where it's got like the countdown timer and shit. Everybody who put their email address into that website, we're gonna be sending them this video and make it look like it's coming from, you know, some like weird cult. Yeah. All right.
I'll hit you up.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, John.
Gotcha, bro.
So while the visual was cooking up, we went ahead and started posting the billboards on social media to start getting the ball rolling and drive traffic to the website. So, you know, I kind of tried to keep it vague at first, like, what's going on? Like, I just saw this billboard and this creepy website. Like, what's this all about? What's supposed to happen when the countdown reaches 0? I just don't know. And immediately, some of my followers were definitely on to me. And someone was very close to figuring out what was going on, but not quite. Real quick, if you want to get your hands on one of these limited edition Holy Mob rhinestone hoodies, we got the rhinestone Cerberus on the hood, super clean. We're going to be doing a limited run of those very soon, so go follow Holy Mob everywhere to get notified when we do that. So after that first post, obviously it was the first one, so we didn't really get that many email submissions directly following it. But with the second one, I wanted to try and get everybody's guard down a little bit so that they felt a little more comfortable putting their email in this sketchy website. So I posted a video of myself putting in my email address on this website. You know, I wanted to set a good example. And I'm going to set a good example for you guys right now by liking this video. So I consider myself a pretty good role model. So You should really follow in my footsteps. So we did get a few more email submissions directly following that, but with my third post, I really wanted to drive home the idea that these things are everywhere, you know? We got to pay attention to this November 3rd date that they're counting down to, because something important clearly is happening. Now, at this point, a lot of my followers definitely knew something was up, but I actually think this is perfect for engagement, because even for the people who don't know what's up, these type of billboards are just so easy to dunk on and make fun of. It is so cool when somebody with paranoia this bad has access to large sums of money, dude. I agree. And it's also so cool when somebody with Photoshop skills this good has access to social media. I also liked this one. This calls for an investigation video, right? I'd say so. So then the boys started posting a lot of these, and I definitely think it's nice doing a campaign like this with a group as opposed to doing it with like a solo release, because having everybody post this type of thing, I think kind of adds a little bit more credibility to it and makes it look a little bit more legit. You know what they say, teamwork makes the internet hoax work. And can we just take a moment to appreciate the in progress Photoshop billboard? It just so happened that they were installing a billboard right outside the place we were staying in Branson. So I'm super proud of that one in particular. So by the time we got to my next post, I wanted to get even more email submissions because it really had been kind of slow leading up to this. So I wanted to lower the barrier of entry even more for people who might be a little sketched out by the website. I thought maybe if they're not comfortable putting their own email on the website, maybe they'd see it as a fun prank idea to put their friend's email on the website. So we got a few more email submissions. And so I thought maybe this idea would work well in a video format, like on TikTok. But that flopped really bad. It also flopped pretty bad on Reels. So clearly that was not a very compelling video concept. So I wanted to go back to the drawing board. I wanted to come up with a video idea to do one final push before the album release. So I whipped up a different video that I thought would get a bit more of a reaction. I decided to create fake news. I created a fake news clip. I basically wrote out this whole like news report and then used AI to generate the voices for the clip. I repurposed a bunch of those billboard pictures, gave shout outs to the boys, of course. And I even edited one of the billboard designs onto stock footage of a billboard. Even with all of this, I think the weakest link was definitely the AI voices. They just sounded so like precise and not quite human. It definitely wasn't quite making it out of the uncanny valley. So I wanted to add a little bit more credibility, a little bit more believability to the AI voices by actually showing a human reading the lines at the beginning of the clip. But I didn't want to get in trouble by like deep faking a real news anchor saying these things, because there are probably some legal implications there. So I decided to use stock footage again. And this time I used AI to lip sync the stock footage to the AI generated dialogue that I had created. And honestly, it was still pretty bad, so I just had to use the best part of it and then cut away as soon as it started looking bad again. I ended up spending way longer on this video than I anticipated. I spent like an entire night working on it, so I wanted to put some actual money behind this video to make sure that it did numbers. So I reached out to a few influencers on Twitter and TikTok to see if any of them would be interested in doing a paid post, basically. And the only one who got back to me was a Twitter account called Slappy, who had over 400,000 followers. He DM'd me back and he said that he would charge $450 for a post. And I didn't really think that was that bad of a price, especially in retrospect, because the video ended up getting over 140,000 impressions, which means for every dollar that we spent, we got 323 impressions. So I think it was definitely money well spent. And the response to his post was actually pretty good. Of the 74 replies that we got, only a couple people called out the AI voices, which I was most worried about. In fact, there was one random person who didn't follow us, didn't seem to be associated with us at all, who said that he had also seen these billboards too. I'm not sure how, but we'll take it. Which brings us to the release. So soon enough, the time had finally come. The countdown timer reached 0. Let's just ignore the fact that people in other time zones were seeing it go negative for a while. I'm not a professional programmer, okay? So we dropped a YouTube visual at midnight. We replaced the countdown timer on the website with that YouTube video, and then we emailed the video to everyone who gave us our email address, and obviously dressed it up to look all cryptic and culty. So after doing all that, how successful was our campaign? So if we look at the number of times that the website was viewed throughout the week, we can see that after we did that paid post on Slappy's Twitter account, we definitely got a huge surge right before the release, which is perfect. You know, we definitely don't want it to peak too early. So I think the timing was impeccable. But how many people actually put in their email? That's the important part. In total, we collected 263 email addresses. So pretty good, I would say, considering we only spent $450 on this whole campaign, if we're not not counting like the stock footage and the website hosting. So I guess we'll call it like $600. 263 emails. That's kind of alarming, honestly, that many people are willing to put in their email address on a random website just because someone told them to. But nonetheless, I appreciate all 263 of you. And we only got 6 fake email addresses. Only 6 of those emails ended up bouncing when we sent it. And over half of the people that we sent it to actually opened the email. So I think that's pretty good. And then of those people who opened the email, about 60% of them actually clicked on the video. So that's 85 views for the YouTube video that we got through this cult marketing campaign, basically. And 85 views isn't a lot, but that's about 10% of all the views that the video got in the first 24 hours. So it definitely gave it like a little boost. But perhaps most importantly, did the people who clicked through the YouTube video actually watch it? Well, if we look at the YouTube analytics, you can see that it breaks out all the different traffic sources for the video. I can't tell if the views from the email would be considered external, which is the green bar, or direct/unknown, which would be the yellow bar, but it's probably a little bit of both. But either way, the average watch time is still pretty low. I mean, like 1 minute or 3 minutes out of like a 30+ minute video. That's not a great average watch time, but I would be interested to see if we sent the email later in the day, if that would be a little bit higher, because I can imagine that people probably don't want to turn on a 30+ minute YouTube video at midnight on a Thursday night. So ultimately, did this have a noticeable impact on the actual stats for the album on Spotify and everything? No, not really. I mean, the album did perform better in the first 24 hours than the last one that we dropped. I mean, there are objectively more people listening to this one than the last one. But ultimately, I think that this release strategy really helped build hype for the fans that we already had, not necessarily gain a ton of new fans. And that's probably because there's a lot more depth to this type of marketing strategy, as opposed to just saying like, hey, new album dropping on this date, go to this generic pre-save link and give me your email address. No, the way that we did this, I think adding a bunch of lore and imagery that people could latch onto, I think it made everybody feel like they were part of something bigger, make things seem a little bit larger than life. So at the end of the day, regardless of whether it actually helps you gain a bunch of new fans or not, I still think it's a lot more fun to promote things like this. So I'll definitely be doing stuff like this again in the future, assuming the world doesn't end before then.